Hey guys, Pete here. Netflix just dropped a new trailer with the date announcement for Dark Season 3. The release date is what many fans had guessed, June 27th, 2020, the date of the apocalypse. I'm going to break down this trailer scene by scene, and that will contain a lot of spoilers about everything that happened in the first 2 seasons of Dark. If you're not caught up with the series, this video isn't for you. Consider yourself warned. The trailer opens with a hand operating a device of some sort. I'm not sure what you can say about this, except that it looks old. It has an analog feel to it, and it's something we haven't seen before. That cuts to a shot of the black blob of the God particle from below. Since this doesn't look like Adam's lair under the church, this is probably the power plant post-apocalypse. The dark matter doesn't stabilize like we normally see it do before someone travels through it. Instead, the bottom opens up and we can see this glowing energy inside. This could be related to the alternate world, or even when it was first created. It could also be tied to whatever Adam is doing at the end of the trailer, which we'll get to. In the voiceover, we hear Adam say, "You have many questions," with a quick shot of Alt Marta arriving in the Conwald house at the end of Season 2. Adam continues, "Shall we begin?" The next shot is the destroyed power plant from a distance. The containment walls are visible, so this is sometime after 2020, but you can't make out much more. After that, we get our first look at a new character that we'll see throughout the trailer. He's walking through Adam's study carrying a lantern, similar to the one that we saw Jonas carry into the cave when he went to 1921. His clothing looks to be of that same time period, and he has a scar above his lip. The actor's name is Jacob Diehl, and his father in real life, Hans Diehl, plays what I assume is the older version of him. Next, we watch as Jonas materializes. I don't know, there's a cloud of color that comes together and then he's there. I think this is him traveling with Alt Marta's device because of a shot of Claudia we'll see later. In the voiceover, he says, "Why am I here? Where are we going?" Which could certainly be him talking to Alt Marta when they arrive in her world. There's a shot of him running through the woods backwards, or at least it's playing in reverse. And older shots of him waking up in his room and touching Helga's hand through the wormhole. Under the church, we see the new character again, and he's joined by a boy and an old man. It's dark in the room, they're all dressed the same, and they're all carrying lanterns. We get individual looks at them as Adam says, "Everything in life occurs in cycles, but this time it will be the last cycle." This all feeds into my thinking that this is the same character at 3 different points in their life, and I tend to think it's a brand new character rather than someone we already know. They all have the same scar which ties them together, and at least in the trailer they appear to be eerily familiar with each other, and the middle one seems to be the leader or the most active, with the other 2 looking pretty passive when we see them. It's almost like they're following him around and they all work together as one. We watch as the middle one throws his lantern at the Fall of the Damned painting on the wall. That cuts to a shot of the letter that young Noah gave Stranger Jonas in the Season 2 finale, where it's on fire. Remember, this is what changed Stranger's path at the last minute and convinced him that he had to save Magnus, Franziska, and Bartosz. He was the last person we know who had the letter, and in the voiceover he asks, "Can we change the course of events?" While there's a flash of images. In that, we see Alt Marta wearing something around her neck in what looks like the caves. There's a quick shot of Michael's suicide, and then it cuts to older Noah under the church. This shot stands out in that he's not wearing the priest's clothes, but there's not a lot of other details to work with. This could be an alternate Noah, just like alternate Martha, or it could just be something from the past that we haven't witnessed yet. Next, there's a recycled shot from Season 2, Episode 1, when Stranger reveals himself to Hannah in their kitchen. Then we see what looks like the alternate Magnus with dark hair kissing what I guess is Alt Franziska. It's quick and we don't get a lot of details here. The dark hair certainly makes it look like it's an alternate Magnus. Franziska more or less looks the same from what we can see. After that, we see the new character watching the painting go up in flames. Adam repeats his "this knot can only be undone by destroying it entirely" speech. As he's talking, we see the other 2 from the trio smashing their lanterns, and then the whole room goes up in flames. Everything looks to be on the way to being destroyed, including the family pictures on the wall. As they're watching it burn, the middle one has something in his hand, which at first I thought was the letter. On closer inspection, you can't make out what it is for sure. It looks like an envelope, but we can't see any markings on it. There's a quick shot of the passage in the cave. The door opens and we see a light, but we can't see who's holding it. That cuts to a new new shot of stranger Jonas wearing clothes we've never seen him in. This is most likely after he traveled back in time at the end of season 2. After that, we see the creepy trio outside the church for the first time. The middle one is saying something to middle Claudia's secretary from the power plant. She's from the 80s, which links them to visiting that time at least. Then there's some really interesting shots. The first one is at the lake, where we see a female with dark hair from behind, smashing someone repeatedly with a rock. It makes you think of Ulrich trying to kill young Helga outside the bunker. If I had to guess who it was, I would say Hannah based off the hair color, since there isn't anything else we can see. Then we see middle Claudia traveling with the time machine that Alt Marta had. She's got different clothes, and it looks like Charlotte is standing in front of her. I mean, Charlotte had to go somewhere, and where they're at looks post-apocalyptic. You can't tell who it is. It looks like a woman to me, and I think Charlotte's the best guess, but it could be anyone. As I mentioned before, when she travels, it reminded me of the earlier shot of Jonas materializing. There are these golden lights around her, and we saw those in the Jonas scene as well. That cuts to a shot of a young Elizabeth who has some blood on her face. She looks like she could be in the caves or possibly the bunker, and the screen lights up some, so she might be watching someone travel. She looks a bit older. I'm not sure if that's an indication that this is in the near future or if it's just the fact that child actors grow up so fast. Then we see the new characters attacking what looks like Bernd Doppler in his wheelchair at home. This could be related to the shot of them in the 80s with Claudia's secretary, because we know Bernd was in his wheelchair at that time. The next shot is hard to make out, but I think it's an older Helga hitting someone, or it could be the oldest of the trio, since older Helga is dead. There are a few close-up shots of the trio, bathed in a red flashing light, as if they weren't creepy enough already. I'm not sure where they are here, but it cuts to another shot of the God particle at the power plant. Then we hear Marta say, "It's all true," to which another woman responds, "You'll understand it all when it's time to understand." This might be middle Claudia's voice as it sounds familiar, but I can't tell for sure. Marta is wearing a familiar yellow raincoat like young Jonas wore around in the beginning of his story. She has tears in her eyes, and the footage is playing in reverse, making it look like she's moving away from the viewer as the tear rolls up her cheek. There's a painting behind her that looks like Adam and Eve from the season 3 badges that were posted on Instagram. Besides that, it looks like Adam's lair, only there was no painting like that there. So this could very well be an alternate version of the area under the church. The trailer ends with Adam doing something with the God particle at the power plant. He flips the switch, or perhaps the device we saw at the beginning of the trailer. The black blob looks more chaotic and unstable than normal, and it's spinning, kind of picking up speed. At the end, it compresses to a bright light, and then that cuts to the closing titles. It looks like he could be destroying it, but we'll have to wait and see. The closing title tells us the final cycle begins, and then that changes to ends, and then they give us the date of the apocalypse. We hear someone say tick tock, talk tick, and then just talk. So it's a pretty good trailer. There's quite a lot of new stuff. The most interesting thing is this trio of new characters. We saw in the casting announcements last year that there would be a father and son, a real life father and son in season 3. And I just get a feeling from this that these are brand new characters. They walk around with a sense of authority, and it makes things kind of confusing. Dark Showrunner posted some Season 3 screenshots after the trailer dropped to go along with some of the mirrored photos they had posted to announce the trailer was coming. After that, and watching all the behind-the-scenes stuff he posted, I was hoping we'd have a better idea of what was going on in the alt world, but I guess for the first trailer you can't expect too much. In those, we got the best look at the alternate characters with the shot of Marta and Magnus. You can see that his hair's dark, he's got tattoos all over him to mark him as an alternate. There's a picture of Jonas that looks like he's looking at his house in the alternate world. There's another one of Marta riding the bike looking like Jonas wearing the raincoat. And then there's a pretty interesting one of the post-apocalypse. We see there's some destruction at the plant. The trees aren't all dead and gone yet though, and this looks more like 2020 than 2053 based on the people we see there in the cars. That's all pretty exciting considering that we knew someone arrived to build the restricted restricted zone, and we never saw that period of time yet. There's also this shot of Marta with the raincoat on in the mouth of the cave with that police tape kind of thing going across it. The popular theory now is that this alternate world is going to be like almost exactly the same as the Winden we've been in for the first 2 seasons, only Marta is going to be doing the things that Jonas did in the other world. This seems a little bit too simple to me, but we'll have to see how it plays out. They're definitely teasing something that way. I mean, they showed these photos of everything flipped in the background. Clearly putting the yellow jacket on Marta makes you think of Jonas. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they arrive there. Claudia has mentioned visiting the world where Jonas doesn't exist. This could certainly fit the bill. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when he does arrive. Adam seems to be going forward with his plan more or less as he's laid it out. He looks to be trying to destroy the world. It'd be interesting to see if he's working with this trio of new characters or if they are somehow his opposite. I got a lot of things bouncing around in my head, but I think I'll leave this video here and then put together some theory videos over the next month while we wait for the season. Let me know what you thought about the trailer, what you're most excited to learn about in season 3, and what you're surprised that you didn't see in this, because there's a lot of characters we didn't even get a glimpse of in this trailer. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you're a fan of Dark or any of the other TV shows I cover. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon.